and welcome to the DIY Designer Homestead with
Cari Ann
and Steve. So we're putting together a little project here, sort of a bit, I wouldn't say haphazardly, although it kind of started that way.
It did.
It started with Cari Ann, who's a phenomenal real estate agent, saying, by the way, we lived in two separate houses. Mm-hmm. So we're...
For 4 years.
Yeah, well, almost 4 years, yeah.
We met 4 years ago.
You got to be accurate with your timing.
Yeah.
But so I lived in a house with, just recently divorced, and I've got two kids, my son Trace and my daughter Charlie. Cari Ann has her daughter Emily. We had two separate homes, and Cari Ann said to me, Steve, I think it's time that we should remodel your kitchen. Yeah. And we had plans to kind of do, I guess, sort of what we did for some time, but not yet. We weren't ready yet. So no. It went from...
We were going to actually wait one more year. We were planning to move in together and buy a home together. We were going to wait one more year
after
Emily was done with high school. That's right. And then COVID hit.
Yeah, COVID. Wonderful COVID. Cari Ann says to me, Steve, I think we should remodel your kitchen. Mm-hmm. The next thing I know, she touched every square inch of my house. The interior, the exterior, new roof, windows, everything. Walls came out.
We gutted the whole thing.
Everything. And so, and the concept being the kids, we'll get it done last fall, mm-hmm. so that you and the kids can enjoy the winter here and have a nice little family room in the basement. And so, but it started with just the kitchen.
That's right.
It started with just the kitchen. Next thing I know, we're out here on this property, which is really nice.
Which took us about 3 months to do. That's a whole story in its own right. We're very, very lucky.
What is? Well, she's a phenomenal real estate agent. She's very benign about that, but she's a rock star at what she does. And so she completely redid my home, and after everything was brand new, she said, Steve, now's the time to sell it. Yeah. So she did. She sold it off market.
Off market.
Yeah. And then turned around and got her place ready, and she sold her place in St. Paul.
Off market.
Off market, yes. We went and looked at a property, put in an offer down in Afton, Minnesota.
Lost in multiples.
Yep. And Cari Ann was a bit frustrated with that.
Yes.
So she immediately got on her horse, and she drove.
Literally.
She drove, sort of.
It was stormy that day.
Horses.
I think I drove around for a full day. And I've been watching this property for a couple of months, and I decided I'm just going to drive out there, and the experience in person was entirely different than what they had filmed on camera, which that's a whole conversation right there about
around
how
real
important
estate,
around real estate. So we scheduled a showing.
Yeah, so she came out and saw it. You just drove up the driveway, right?
Yep.
Drove up the driveway, and she said,
Mm-hmm.
Steve, you need
called him in the car.
You need to come and see this. She coordinated a showing and came out, and it was already pretty dark, so we really didn't get a chance to see the land that's here, which is
amazing.
It is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. We're on, about 15 and a half acres?
Mm-hmm. Butting up against another 15
that's
acres
part
of private
a
land.
Conservation group. So we'll never have a neighbor next to us. There's a beautiful trout stream that runs next to us. We've got almost a 3-acre pond that we will be talking about. We're going to be turning that into a whole project in and of itself. Mm-hmm. I was going to say tree stands. We have a lot of tree stands on the property already.
We do.
We're going to build, my daughter and I are going to build a tree house probably next year. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be building a little timber frame cabin, which will be my office on the north end of the pond. Yeah. That hopefully will start next year, maybe the year after. There's a lot of projects.
There's a lot of projects.
We've already got, we've got 15 chickens you may hear off in the distance here. They've been a little loud this morning. And so I'm going to be building a really nice coop.
We were supposed to start that this year, but this project, as you'll see, became a runaway train. It's been something else. So we're still very much in the middle.
I became an unwitting general contractor.
Indeed.
So I've been doing a couple projects inside the house.
Just a few.
As opposed to doing the outdoor stuff.
Yes.
Which was the plan.
Full renovation, beautiful piece of architecture, beautiful home, and we'll show you images. The original
befores
owners
and afters
are going to be amazing. And the original owners, this was truly a labor of love. And as we talk about this property, you will see how, when you find a little piece of respite like this, it's literally a diamond. The owner, Don, and his wife, Polly, this was family
Lovely
land.
People.
Amazing people, and they left us truly a legacy property that we're so honored to be able to put our stamp on. We're never ever selling this property. We're never moving. Going back to the why, boy, where do you begin? Steve had quite an interesting story we'll talk about up near Duluth, family land. His grandfather built 36 log cabins on a beautiful lake up there, and Steve was a part of that experience over many, many years. And I had the opportunity and privilege to spend a lot of my time out in Maine. My grandparents retired there when I was 2. My grandfather had a beautiful piece of land, an acre garden. I've always been inspired by that hobby farm experience, that English or European architecture and that organic environment. And in order to take that on, you have to be paired with the right partner. So Steve and I, we met, and we were immediately aware that we were visionaries and wanted the same thing. Absolutely.
Well, I would say you're more the visionary. I'm really more the guy that lives out in the woods.
Yeah.
So it works out pretty well here, because I don't think Cari Ann really wants to be out chainsawing trees and building cabins with her hands, but she is very much going to participate in the gardens. We will create some beautiful gardens here as we're going, and I like to use the terminology that at least for me in particular, that we learn as we, instead of go, we learn as we grow. Because so much of what we're doing here, neither one of us have ever done. A lot of...
Not to this level anyway.
Yeah, done some gardening and that sort of thing, but everything from the chickens, which we just started with 4 chickens in the city, and I built a little coop out of cedar wood, and this is as many of you watching this probably know, difficult to get materials for a little chicken coop. I went to 7.
Took all summer.
I went to 7 different big box stores just to get enough cedar so I could build that. So it's just multiple trips. Well, just imagine what we're doing inside of a big house in terms of needing to get materials. It has been just an onslaught of from one store to the next store to the next store to the next store, getting as much as we can when we can.
On all aspects, since this started, during the renovation, it was a little easier with Steve's home. My home was already completed. We got out here and started this project. We're just getting in materials selections that we ordered months ago. Yeah. Anybody who's doing a major renovation can feel the effect of the shifts and changes in supplies and materials and labor. So we are absolutely behind schedule here, and this is going to be a several part project when we renovate the house, which is going to be really fun to share with everybody, because I think all of us are relatable to how important right now it is to nest and really create the space that we love, because we're spending a lot more time in our homes than we ever have, which was one of the reasons we stepped up our game and did what we did. It's like I always tell people, we've talked about this so many times to our friends, I'm 52, Steve is 50. People say, oh my gosh, look at what you just took on. We love this. We're passionate about it. And most importantly, timing isn't always ideal. We weren't planning on doing this when the opportunity appeared. We knew we had to. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And when you really, really want something, it will manifest itself, and you will find it, and it will materialize and happen for you. And it is such a dynamic and unique opportunity. We want to share our story. So that's what we're going to do.
We wanted to, both of us wanted to get out of the city and get into some space where there's some land. It's just such a very different and peaceful dynamic.
Absolutely.
Being out here. And Cari Ann is one of these people that she pushes not only herself, but everyone around her. She does this in I see her do it with real estate. When she's helping her clients, she does push people to make the choices that she knows and they know they need to make, but change is really hard. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of those people for whom change is very hard. I'm not a big fan of it. I like to, once I get my claws into something, I just like to stay put, preferably in the woods.
Yeah.
So what she does is she pushes people beyond their comfort zone, but in a really good way, so that suddenly, at least like for someone like me, I'm suddenly experiencing this, which I never would have on my own.
Neither of us would have taken on, when you're at a place in life, and I say this to anybody, regardless of what stage in life they are, you get to this place where you want to make a change. I call it right sizing. In our stage of life, many will say you're downsizing. Most of the people I know aren't downsizing, they're right sizing, and that can mean a myriad of things. It can mean all kinds of different experiences. Some people really want to just make it low key, buy a condo, travel abroad, hit Florida for a summer. We'll still do that, but maybe for a week, not a whole winter season.
We have chickens to take care of.
We have chickens to take
and
care of.
And maybe pigs soon.
You know, both of us were passionate about the outdoors, the organic, the experiential part of what you're going to see as we share with you this story. And there's a lot of opportunity out there to find this type of respite. And there's a lot of gratification to not only yourselves, but your family unit. And we're just so excited to be able to be a part of it and have the opportunity to share it. So, I mean,
everything from the gardens to the pond, everything.
We've got one neighbor on the pond, and we know for a fact that many of the landowners out here do spray chemicals and do put chemicals in their waterways to get them clean and make them look right. And so we were lucky enough, we love our neighbors, to collaborate with them and explain to them how we're going to do this. That'll be a whole series of episodes for all of you out there that have natural waterways on your property, to preserve them, restore them. Steve's actually planning to turn this one into a fishery. So we'll be talking about how we're going to organically clean that one up.
Yeah, start to mitigate that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from using enzymes and whatnot to literally eat some of those organics, and which is, it's interesting because it's some of the same stuff that you would use in a septic system. Might work at building a little homemade dredge and have a little fun out there. And we'll use a lot of like what we take from the pond. Everything we'll harvest. We'll harvest the duckweed, pull that out, and
you can eat duckweed, by the way.
It's edible, and it's actually more protein than soybeans.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not. So there's so many things, from that to what people call weeds, many of which we can harvest and eat. We'll plant some so-called weeds intentionally in the garden because we're going to eat them. My daughter and I go out and we pick dandelions and eat them together, and it's fun, and they're really good, especially if you get them in the spring. They're really sweet. So everything that we're doing with intent. Trees, a lot of oak trees around here that have fallen, that are in the woods rotting. We'll use the tractor or winch them out, pull them out. We'll actually use those in our garden to create what's called a hugelkultur garden, which we'll talk about in depth on other episodes. But we'll be doing some amazing composting. We'll have multiple bins of compost along the way that will move from beginning stages to the finished stages at the end. We will literally be creating beautiful earth from which we can grow anything we want.
Which is so amazing.
We'll eventually build a greenhouse, a year-round greenhouse, solarium, whatever you want to call it, actually attached to the house.
And then we'll have French doors right off the kitchen, which we'll end up doing multiple tours, because we're going to show you before, middle, we're in the middle now, and after, which may be early next year sometime. I'm not sure how long it's going to take.
It's going to be a while.
We ordered a freeze dryer.
Mm-hmm.
And we ordered one because a lot of people don't realize, but the chickens, they stop laying when it gets cold. Probably collecting maybe 12 to 13 eggs a day right now.
We've been gifting a lot of eggs as of late, but just because we can't go through them that fast. But you can freeze dry eggs, among other things. So
cool.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that. Then we'll have our scrambles throughout the winter.
And quiches, and because we also order from an organic farm chickens. So we have all these chickens we just picked up
for now, delivery. Until we start raising our own meat chickens.
Which we will do. And so we're going to make a whole bunch of chicken pot pies for this winter and quiches, so we can just pull them out.
I'll smoke them. I'll smoke the chickens, and then I will so I make my own bread as well, like a sourdough bread, just really simple, but you'll see it, I'm sure, on a future. I cook quite a bit.
Very good cook. He's a chef. You're a chef.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But we'll do a lot of cooking episodes and things, and you'll begin to see a lot of Cari Ann's aesthetic. Again, if it's me, I could cook on a little slab of wood or something. I don't need anything fancy. But you'll see once we're inside, you'll see what she's done in terms of her aesthetic and her design, what she does actually for a lot of her clients, simply because she understands how to make things so appealing to not just us that like live here, but people that are looking to buy a house. What she did to this place, I could never have dreamed of. I could never have seen it. She can see things before it's done. She can walk into a space and she just knows. She just knows what to do. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's truly, even if somebody doesn't want to necessarily take on 15 acres and live, out of the city, there's so many aspects of what we're going to show everyone that they can, and you all can, take little pieces and bring it into your own life, and that's our hope, that we can share that. It's all about the sharing. You guys may have a little patio and you just want to do a little garden out there, and there'll be an inspiration, one of our stories that will give you an idea that you never thought of. There's just so many parts of what we're doing that can be scaled way down or blown way up. That's the fun part of DIY Designer Homestead. You want to talk about Backwoodsy for just a minute? Get 1 minute.
Backwoodsy is basically describes me, because that's kind of what I am. I say that I'm a barely handyman because I don't really know what I'm doing. But with Backwoodsy, I say if you've got opposable thumbs and you have the ability to think a little bit, you can do anything. And you'll see my little Backwoodsy hat that I'll be wearing from time to time, and my Backwoodsy coffee that's hopefully coming down the pike here.
Some brilliant things that are going to come from that.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, welcome to what will be a lot more of DIY Designer Homestead with
Cari Ann
and Steve.